Greetings and salutations, Ginger League. Uh, Bit different today. I'm doing the intro. Andrew today is going to be fighting, and I'm going to be adjudicating. Hopefully, Andrew can pick up a win because at this point he hasn't got any wins yet. Have you?
I have been getting my ass handed to me on a regular basis. What? But the worst part is, it's the actual audience. Because any ones that we've put to a public vote, and the public have destroyed me. And yep. I'm like, I came up with the fucking podcast. What the hell, guys? It's fair dues. I need to brush up on my game. Clearly, I'm not as smart as I think I am. So, but I just keep bringing on the brilliant guests, and they do amazingly well. And this one's going to be no different. He's a good friend of mine, an author of the Morton and Muir trilogy. It's Bill Wright. Bill, how you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you, Andy.
Yeah, I said Bill Wright, as in to see if you picked up on it. I'm because I always to say Bill Wright, as in writer.
And then I was like, "Your show. I'm not going to do anything that's going to get me kicked off."
Nah, I'm going to sit here and shut up. What? So, just in case anybody does look for you, it's Bill Dickson, obviously. I wasn't sure if you were going under your actual name or a pseudonym, just so you didn't get those crazy stalkers.
Well, no, it's the books are published under William Dickson rather than Bill. I thought about using a pseudonym, but it took that long to write them. I thought, you know what? No, good or bad, I'm putting my name on them.
Well, I've read the trilogy and purchased it because I'm obviously good friends with yourself and your wife would have gave me a vasectomy if I hadn't done it.
Possibly, yeah. Well, a lawnmower.
Yeah, definitely, and that would have been the gentle version.
Yeah. My wife has a fondness for horror films, like myself. She can be creative when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. But I've got to say, your writing was absolutely brilliant. As we discussed before we came on here, it's the first book that I had read really since I was a teenager. I couldn't put it down. It was fantastic. And I would always have trouble when I was reading visualizing characters. With yours, it was what quite easy to do. Not easy as in it was simple, but you gave enough detail and enough kind of analysis of it. I could get a good picture in my mind. Kind of reminds me of how George R.R. Martin would take 3 chapters to describe a dinner in a Game of Thrones book. But not to that extent, just right.
Yeah. I appreciate the praise, but we both know you bookmarked all the rude bits, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Yeah.
I mean, when I read these steamy scenes, I messaged him and said, "How's things in the marriage going? Is everything all right?"
But you didn't.
You were actually just getting ideas.
Yeah, of course I was getting ideas. I was like, right, okay, this is potential. You're
probably responsible for the birth of his kids.
No, Hull is responsible for the birth of my kids. I blame Hull. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, man. Because this is essentially stuff that we would talk about when we used to go to the ML3 in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and just sit and talk about superheroes and the superhero genre. So I was really, really hoping to get you on. And for anybody that is a fan of the other channels, Bill was one of the first guests on that Mental Ginger show when I was still the fat middle-aged white guy ranting.
Right, yeah.
And somehow you.
I don't remember much.
Yeah, you survived it.
Just a joke, but it's not.
Yeah, you're really good. I'll need to get you back on. Now, I've got now that I'm up to my game and I'm actually at a decent level of being a host. So you can see the boy has done good.
You have indeed, Chief. You have indeed.
Thank you, and I appreciate the support, obviously from everybody, and obviously building my empire so my apprentice Kev can take over. Yes.
Was that Palpatine or?
I would say it was Palpatine. I tried for Palpatine.
Okay, that's good. Just
right. So for our super fights today, this is the Battle of the Doctors Part 2. You may remember in Part 1 where Kev and my good friend Christopher John Stephen were debating about the Doctors, and we now have the Part 2 segment. Bill will be arguing for Dr. Stephen Strange. I will be arguing for Dr. Victor Von Doom. And the little caveat for this one is the winner of this round will go on and face the winner of the last round in a crossover battle. It'll be a first. Very excited. Looking forward to it, especially from some of the arguments that have been presented beforehand. So, Kev, do you want to run down the rules, or do you want me to run down the rules for everybody?
I'll let you do that. I mean, you may get another loss, so I'll give you something to do as well.
I think it's highly likely.
Pressure on me tonight. So much pressure.
In fairness, there's pressure on me every time I log into this. And what's more gutting is I came up with the fucking game and I'm getting schooled at my own game. Everybody really hates gingers.
To be fair though, the last time I was on in the Doctor battle, I got my ass handed to me.
Yeah, but in one round.
I mean, in one round.
In one round, you got we have what's called, Bill, the Nick Cage moment. And it's where if someone comes up with just an argument you cannot counter against, you just have to basically take your hat off and be like, okay, that's it, done. We call it the Nick Cage moment because in our very first episode, Kevin actually Nick Cage moment me with a Ghost Rider reference.
Nice.
So it is now known as the Nick Cage moment.
I'm just gonna say it. I love Nick Cage. I think Nick Cage is awesome.
We all do.
We all do, yeah.
We're hoping that it gets enough traction. Hoping it gets enough traction so it'll actually come on. But we'll see how that goes. It's like he might want $20,000 and I wouldn't have that. So we have to just... So we'll go over the ground rules. We break it into 3 rounds. The first round, what is cultural relevance? And that is how our selected hero or villain has impacted pop culture, the general zeitgeist of life, all that kind of stuff. Round 2 is physical abilities and mental abilities. So straight up, who would win in a fight between the two characters? That's usually the hotly debated one. And the third round, which I absolutely love, is universal significance. If you took that character out of their respective universe, how would that universe cope or survive without that character? So, Kev, I'm ready to get my ass handed to me again. Bill, you ready to roll?
I am good to go.
Yes, so we shall start with round 1. So, round 1 is cultural relevance, and we always let the guests start first because we are honoured with their presence. Bill, how do you personally feel that Dr. Stephen Strange has impacted culture?
I can sum up my thoughts on that in 3 letters, and you can probably guess what they are. MCU. Like pretty much every other character in the MCU wasn't exactly a household name before the MCU. They are now probably the best known characters in Marvel's back catalogue, other than the characters that had already been in film prior to the beginning of the MCU. X-Men, Spider-Man, Blade, going way on back. But none of them really had the kind of impact that, and they were big movies in their day. But the MCU is a Goliath. It's a freaking monolith. And it is known all over the world. It's like 24, 25 movies at this point, many of which have made $1 billion at the box office, including the 2 Doctor Strange movies themselves, plus the Avengers movies that he's appeared in. So this character, who's been around since 1963, has only really just kind of entered the worldwide cultural zeitgeist, but he did it in such a way that he was in with the bricks basically. He became part of the MCU, and that was it. As soon as you're part of that, you're pretty much quids in. Yeah. And so now that kind of design, that kind of classic, almost wizard look, if you like, the goatee, the cloak, all that kind of stuff, that is there to stay. And I think the fact they kept it so accurate for the movies is spot on. And I think with the release of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, that's probably going to be the first time a lot of people who don't read comic books or watch a great deal of movies or TV will have heard the term multiverse. And it's all over the shop now. You've got it happening through the Marvel TV series. You've got DC getting in on it. There's been the recent movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, which does an entire multiverse all of its own without anything, before it. So I think, when people hear the term multiverse, they're going to go straight to Doctor Strange because it's literally right there in the title. Plus, he's on screen played by an actor who is extremely well known. So you're going to have people who have known Benedict Cumberbatch's work prior to the MCU from the likes of Sherlock and that kind of thing. And he will have brought that audience to the MCU, thus widening the cultural impact of the character of Doctor Stephen Strange even further.
Well, yeah, but I've got a battle. Well, the Infinity Gauntlet has been laid down. Well, but I am coming back with the Iron Man Gauntlet. You summed it up in 3 letters, like MCU. I'll sum up Doctor Doom in 2 letters. OG. He is the OG villain from Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. He first appeared in the 5th issue, which was published in 1962, the 5th of July, I believe. He has had run-ins with Black Panther, the X-Men, the Avengers, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. He was voted number 4 by Wizard in the top 101 supervillains of all time, which is no mean feat. Granted, his forays into live action have not been let's just say, the greatest success. Played by an actor who previously was known for the series Nip Tuck as a sexual pervert. So yeah, what did that have folk going for him? And then you had Fat Four Stick, and I can't even remember who played him. So that sums that one up in a nutshell. But the sheer presence of the name of the character, the fact that so many people know about just the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom, it's like the TNT cakes. You can't have one without the other. You go to Universal Studios in Florida, which I was fortunate to do on my honeymoon. There is a Doctor Doom ride, and it is absolutely amazing to go on it. And just getting to see that, you get to see Doctor Doom in costume, interacting with people with the Hobgoblin, which is fantastic as well. So there's tons of generations that'll know about him, and they'll continue to know about them because, well, let's face it, it's a conglomerate. It's money. He will be everywhere. The iconic look of him as well. Just that again, the green, and the kind of outfit, the metal mask. It's just something that is. You look at it, and it's like Marvel's version of Frankenstein and a lot. Frankenstein's monster. In all honesty, it's something that is equally chilling but cool at the same time. And the fact that obviously he has a Stan Lee, Jack Kirby creation, that's something that everybody is just he's up there. I mean, the Victor Von Doom is a fucking monarch. In his country of. Let me see if I can remember what the right wording was. It was Latveria, as from what I remember.
Yep.
What is it? Latveria? Yeah. I got it. Well, hey. And yeah, like I say, he's been in obviously the movies that haven't exactly done well, but now that he is going to be in the MCU, one can only hope that they will do everything else and do the character justice. Although bringing it back to Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, they totally shat the bed with Mr. Fantastic. It's just that's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of multiverse kind of stuff. Because you've got to be so intricate and so precise with it, because guys like us will pick up on every misstep. And it was a waste of potential. Peggy Carter sliced in half. Black Bolt, he told them a whisper can kill her with his mouth. And that's maybe just one of the smartest men alive. What a fucking joke. What? And then he gets turned into basically what we were talking about the Play-Doh with Thomas. Like, he just got turned into blue spaghetti. Like, so while I am worried, I do hope that Doctor Doom is bringing the character justice. But with Stephen Strange, I do worry that in his film, his own titled film, The Multiverse of Madness, which has Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Scarlet Witch stole that movie from him. Completely and 100% stole it, to the point people are thinking about renaming it Scarlet Witch and the Multiverse of Madness.
Scarlet Witch can feel whatever Scarlet Witch wants.
She can, and she did. Like, she stole his movie. 100%. But yeah, but Doom's the OG villain, one of the OGs that Marvel looked to aspire to from then onwards. I mean, if that hadn't succeeded, we might not have the Doctor Stranges, we might not have the Thanoses, we might not have Krang the Conqueror, we might not have any of that. So that is why I think that Dr. Victor Von Doom has impacted culture better than Doctor Strange has.
This is a tough one.
It's really tough, like trying to get the decisions, isn't it? Welcome to my world.
It is.
And obviously, I have massive respect for Bill. We've had several conversations along these lines before, and we've always been able to have our opinions on it. I'm just glad it was Marvel, because DC, he would have kicked my ass.
Waited until you had nothing but Marvel characters, and then you gave me a call. Oh! I've just remembered the name of the guy that played Doctor Doom in Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. It was Toby Kebbell.
Ah, right. Yeah, that just shows you that
horrific character design.
I think there was a lot of horror that comes with that movie. The entire thing was just a complete it's an insult to dumpster fires to call it a dumpster fire.
They really need to try and stick to, if they're going to do Doom right, they need to try and stick to his original origin story.
Mm-hmm. They've got to stick the landing with the characters. If they don't, it's completely wasted potential.
That's where the movies have went wrong. They've changed his character so much that he isn't actually Victor Von Doom anymore. He's just something that shares a name.
Yeah, there's so much in his original backstory that makes him that kind of half and half character. Anti-hero, part villain.
Yeah.
That where he sticks his iron mask to his own face, that's just a bit dumbass. But
but then again, we all have those things. I just mentioned the Reed Richards thing. Tells Wanda like Black Bolt's kryptonite. So they've all got
the cleverest of people make cups at times, man. Come on.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So Kev, you've had a chance to mull over, based on the arguments, purely on the arguments, not on your own personal beliefs.
Purely based on the arguments, I would have to say that Victor Von Doom won that round.
Wow. I actually won one.
You've won a round.
I've won a round. Man, that's because I think the one that we recently dropped, which is the Flash and Sonic the Hedgehog, I was pretty much a whitewash. I got wiped out with that one. So yeah, it was that. I was arguing for the Flash. We done a coin toss, but I knew more about Sonic.
So basically, he argued for Sonic for me, and he beat himself. Really?
Yeah, yeah. So my points about Sonic kicked my own ass. It was one of the longest yet easiest fights Kev has ever had, because I was just like, I know so much about the game. I know so much about the I used to read the comics all the time when I was a kid. So I knew all the
your ass handed to you, Andy. You're handling your own ass. That sounded a lot dirtier when I said it.
This is why you are a writer, my friends.
You can edit that out later on.
Of course
but
not.
When you type it down, you can delete it.
Definitely not. I live by the live life unedited motto. I stick by that.
Clearly, I'm needing a Victor Von Doom mask that kind of holds my mouth shut a wee bit so I can think of things before I say them.
Fairness, that's how I've essentially made my name. It's purely by running my mouth and people going, he's actually okay. And I'm like, really?
You know what?
Me?
You know what you won? I'm gonna give you a wee round of applause. That
Thank you very much, because I can't find a round of applause. Kind of.
You hadn't won, but you've won now. There you go. You've broken your streak.
Yes, I have got a whole 1 to my name. I'm so happy with that. Which means that well, don't worry. I'm pretty sure that you're going to find a way to claw it back, my friend, because we are going to move on to round 2, and that is abilities. So this round is where we take the character's physical and mental abilities and see who would win in an out-and-out fight. Well, again, Bill, you are the guest. How would you say it?
How would I say guest? Same way you did. I'm the guest. There's no trick to it. You don't need magic. There's a segue for you.
That was brilliant. That was great.
That was off the cuff as well.
Well, that alone could be the Nick Cage moment.
I don't know where I come up with this stuff.
That's why you're a writer.
But yeah, obviously, Dr. Stephen Strange, his title is the Sorcerer Supreme, so his thing is magic. The magic abilities that he have, I'm a writer, that he have. Magical abilities that he has include all manner of defensive and offensive capabilities. You'll have seen him in the films producing various different types of projectile weaponry and shields, which he can use not only to defend himself, but others round about him. He can levitate. He can essentially separate his soul from his own body and walk the ethereal plane. He can walk multiple planes of existence in his own physical form. He doesn't have to separate his soul to do it. He can literally, the one most people will probably think of will be the kind of mirror universe, which is the one they use a lot in the films, because visually it's very, very arresting, with all the kind of different faceted chunks of reality floating about, reflecting one another. He's got the ability to see not only timelines, but a literal multiverse of timelines. Again, people remember seeing him basically creating after images of himself as he looks through almost countless different realities to find the one timeline where the Avengers win. Right before the Avengers most certainly do not win right at the end of Infinity War. Even his outfit is in itself very powerful. He's got the Eye of Agamotto that he wears around his neck. Or the Time Stone, I think it's also called. And he has that epic cloak, which has got almost as much personality as the flying carpet from Disney's Aladdin. You know,
I was going to say, they could be cousins.
I would love to see that crossover.
I think Disney's got them.
Other, like, shared universe right there.
Yep, Disney's got them. What if they don't make like an animated kind of like we crossover thing, so that my kids can watch it, so I can watch it.
Never use your kids as an excuse. You go your own road. I'm going to see Lightyear next week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Minions 2 is out soon as well. I'm definitely going to see that.
Yeah. Well, I would want to go see that, but the kids won't sit through the film in cinema yet. They're not there. But they love the Minions.
Go by yourself or take a friend.
Like you.
I said, yeah, I'll go and see it twice. I don't care.
There we go. Rise of Gru. Here we come.
So he's got the Eye of Agamotto. Even he's got the cloak. He's got even the Sanctum Sanctorum itself on Bleecker Street in New York. Has, it's literally a magical building that, if attacked, can help him defend itself. It's filled with all manner of magical implements, which again you've seen him use in the films. Not to mention, can allow him to escape enemies by just walking through a door and ending up half a world away. As a side note, not necessarily powers, but he's also an extremely intelligent person even before he became the Sorcerer Supreme. He was a PhD and an MD and a world-respected neurosurgeon. Unfortunately, also a bit of a tool, but he was a very clever and very skilled surgeon up until his hands got damaged and he could no longer perform the surgery that had made his name, which is when he begins the transition to Doctor Strange.
I've got to say, my back is up against the wall with this one, man. That was thunderous applause worthy. With how well you came out the traps there. So for Doctor Doom, so some of the abilities that he's got off the bat. Well, for one, he has genius level intellect. Like he's a master of science and the dark arts. He's got mind transference. He's got hypnotism. He's an expert in hand-to-hand combat, such as martial arts and sword skills. But he's been described as having peak human conditioning, which was quite an interesting one. Like, I mean, the armor itself that he wears, like, it doesn't just look kick-ass. Like, it is super powered as well. Like, it helps give him, like, like superhuman strength, durability, like lasers, force blasts, like flight, because he's actually got rocket boots. So that shows you straight away. I think he created rocket boots for everybody to want rocket boots. Stan Lee gave him rocket boots, and it was like, we all want that now. We want to be Doctor Doom. Yeah. Well, again, like he can also create shields, like force fields, and just various, kind of. He's always got like these kind of high tech weapons and high tech gadgets. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you would need it. But if you're having to go up against some of the enemies that he goes up against, well, like I said previously, it's like the X-Men, Fantastic Four, like the Avengers, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange himself. But well, I'm pretty sure that I think he did. I think Doctor Strange did beat Doctor Doom. What in one of the comics?
He's beat him 3 times.
3 times. Oh, how can you, as the adjudicator, Nick Cage me?
I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose.
Jesus, man. Oh man. But yeah, there's no denying that Doctor Doom is like a very formidable opponent. I mean, the fact that it took 4 people to knock one person down, and that was even in the crap movies. Well, it shows you, like, even then, like he was still may have been a turd, but he was a turd covered in gold. Like there was still a way. Like you had to get him, and get him developed. I mean, well, obviously, like, he's been adapted into, like, other forms of media as well, like games and things like that. And in the games as well, he's normally one of the big hitters to go up against.
Yeah.
Well, he's normally, like, if he's not like the boss, he's close enough, like the second boss or whatever. But yeah, he's I think one of the things that does make him so feared is his genius level intellect. He is he's someone that rivals Reed Richards in the smarts department and in a couple of the stupidity departments as well, when you look at it.
Still cooling metal mask applied to face.
Yeah, that was straight up. We were like, what?
That's an oopsie right there.
Definitely. But he's you don't get the reputation as being like one of the greatest villains of all time, for nothing. I mean, because I think the only ones that really beat him, I'm pretty sure Magneto was one that beat him, and that's very high praise if he's even in that category to go up against.
Yeah. One of the downfalls of metal armor would be going up against a guy who can control metal.
Exactly. Yep. So if it was the other way around, you'd be like, okay, we call BS on that. But yeah, we'll just have to. I actually think I've been Nick Caged twice in this one round. Clearly, I got a bit too cocky. And not only did you get me with the segue straight in, Bill, but yeah, Kev being the impartial adjudicator, like Nick Cage me 3 times. Yeah.
I mean, Doctor Doom has taken out Thanos by just punching through him and then just holding his spine with his skull still on it in one of the comics.
Yeah, I mean, also in fairness, like Thanos and What If was wiped out in about 10 seconds by Ultron, just sliced straight through.
Yep.
So it just shows you there was ways to take him out before it even began. Like, the Avengers were just too stupid to find it.
I still would have liked to have seen them try the Ant-Man solution that was being put online.
Oh yes. Well, I've
I'm
heard
sure the
that
Russo brothers have a deleted scene in a drawer somewhere where they
there's got to be.
best that or something.
I bet you haven't. What? Because of that show, The Boys. What? There's apparently something similar in that. I mean, I don't have Amazon Prime, so I don't know directly, but I've seen the meme where it's writer. It's like a writer, and he's pitching. Right. What about Ant-Man going up Thanos' ass? What? And they all go no. What? So what? You see? What? So he's crying. What on the steps, and someone comes up to him, and it's Amazon Prime. It's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? They didn't like my like up the butt idea. And he went, I know someone that will. And it just takes it straight to the series 3 of The Boys.
I've seen the episode. I know what you're talking about, and it's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
What do you
that's
think?
Not what the character was saying.
All I think of when I think about I know it's weird when I say when I think about people going up people's asses. I
can tell you, it's not his ass. It goes up.
Oh
no! I've just crossed every male that is listening. This has crossed their legs.
No, that is
spoiler alert.
Whoa.
I think I'm going to have to close the laptop over and put it in the freezer. I'm going to have to go full time on this.
Oh my goodness.
My mind is not getting over that matter. That is...
No.
As a fan of the Boys comic, I was like, how are they going to do this as a series? It's far too graphic. And then when the first series came out, I was like, okay, they've worked it a bit. And then by the time the second series, I was like, aye. It follows brief stories of the comics, but it is totally lives in that universe. It is totally, that you read the comics, you watch that, it's like, aye, brilliant.
If I could afford Amazon Prime, it would just be for The Boys, but yeah, I just can't afford it. Like, damn you, cost of living crisis.
Yeah, I know.
If only the producers of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie from way on back had thought that way, Sean Connery might wouldn't still be acting at the moment, of course, but he might have made more movies between the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and his very sad passing.
Hey, he might still be making movies. I'm pretty sure that film literally killed him. Well, I think that crushed his spirit, and when the spirit goes, the body's not that far behind.
It certainly crushed his enthusiasm for his chosen profession, and that was something that, 4 decades and all of his kind of getting fed up with James Bond at the beginning of it didn't manage to do.
Yeah, and the fact he was paired up with a guy that essentially looked like skinny Jack Black wasn't exactly the best of pairings. Well.
I mean, the casting wasn't terrible, but there was no need to make Mr. Hyde basically the Incredible friggin' Hulk.
Yeah.
There was no need to put the American character in it who saves the day. Jack Sawyer is not in the graphic novel anywhere. Dorian Gray only appears on the cover in the literal picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
And they were looking for something that was family friendly that kids could go and see, and it just sucked the life out of it completely.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely, man. Well,
again, as somebody who's read the graphic novels, it's so far dissolved from what that film was. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it did have some funny bits, like when he's pointing the gun at you, never make that shot. He's like, you're right. I hate getting old.
Yeah.
All the best bits in the movie belong to Connery when he has the tussle with the Invisible Man, and then kicks him out the room and tells him, "I want you dressed at all times, or it's my boot in your arse."
That's the bit I was going to say is the only bit I remember from that film.
That's what I'm talking about. But I mean, if they'd done it exactly like the comic, I honestly think it would have made more money because the fans of the comic would have flocked to it, and then they would have had the unfortunate decision of whether or not to make the second one and actually include, and Kevin, you'll know what I'm talking about here, a particular scene between Mr. Hyde and the Invisible Man. Yes. I don't think they would have done it personally, but I would have loved to have been in the room when they made the decision.
I mean, with the way things are going just now, they could do a series and it would work very well on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
I would get Amazon Prime for that. I
Yep.
would
See
definitely
if
Prime for that.
Amazon Prime or even HBO Max, did that, they would be swing, because HBO Max did what that series of Watchmen, and it wasn't exactly the worst thing out there. It was all right, and it's very it was very good with its cast as well. So they've got the potential, they've got the clout. They just have to utilize it a bit more.
I mean, there's ideas out that hell, they could even get away with doing a remake of The Mask, and they could make it completely different just by making it like the original comic book, and essentially have him be a superpowered psychotic cartoon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, everybody would be like, isn't that just Deadpool? Now as well? And because I think because so much time has passed and so many people now associate The Mask with the Jim Carrey version of it.
I think the way to fix that, get Carrey back to play it.
Oh, now you're talking.
Bring him back to play the character again, but this time leave it as it was in the original comic.
Would you have Carrey with the beard?
The difference between The Mask and Deadpool is that Deadpool's wisecracking and funny, and generally, he's an anti-hero. He's out to get the bad guys most of the time, even if it's not for the bestest of reasons. But The Mask in the comic book is just an absolute psychopath. He is in the comic. He basically gets the mask, realizes what he can do, and then sets out to massacre anybody who's ever annoyed him, including a wee old lady that used to be his teacher.
Nice.
Whom he dispatches in front of an entire class of children. It's a world apart from Deadpool.
Now that is Execute Order 66 type of material right there.
Well, he leaves the kids alone, but the wee old lady doesn't make it out alive. Plus, the Mask is a character who can literally pull a gun out of his ass and shoot someone with it.
That is also what Deadpool could do that as well, I think, in fairness.
Well, not literally out of his ass.
Like he could like pull it out and then, or as he gets killed, like just put the gun where the ass should be and grow a new ass around it, and then pull it out and shoot someone.
Gives a whole new meaning to shooting the shit, doesn't it?
Definitely. I think
not a particularly good one either.
see if anything else, like people need to watch this podcast for the ideas that we come up with when we talk on it.
If we see that in Deadpool 3, we know it's your idea, Andy.
Yeah.
You can do Disney. Best of luck with that.
And if The Mask gets remade and Jim Carrey comes back, I will know that they've been in talks with you.
Yes, I'm just sitting waiting for Big Jim to give me a shout.
Yeah. Here's my question. Would you have Jim Carrey come back with his full beard, like his Jesus beard?
I think if I could get Jim Carrey to be in a Mask movie that was going to be like the comic book, he could have he could have a Methuselah beard. He could be like tying it in a bowl between his knees, and he would be in it. Because yes,
yeah, definitely. I mean, that was one of the things we'd argued about when we did the Flash v Sonic. I was like, it revitalized Jim Carrey's career because he was, he was still going, but there was the quality of work was not as renowned. It wasn't getting as much universal praise as previous ones. And then Sonic was something that everybody was like, I don't know how this is going to go based on track history and like the type of character he is. And he worked that so well, so much that when he said that he's retiring, everybody's like, no, you must come back at least for Sonic 3, and then we might let you go.
You can do the trilogy and then GTF. We don't care after that. As long as we get the 3 films out of you, that'll do.
Yep. Well, as Kevin rightly pointed out, like that would be the only trilogy that he would have done.
That's right, yeah, because he only did 2 Ace Ventura movies.
2 Ace Ventura, 2 Dumb and Dumber.
2 Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I speak for everybody when I say that they really shouldn't have bothered with the second one.
No. I think that was one of those ones that people had talked about it for so long. I think they just went, okay, here it is. Yeah. And now you'll shut up because we know it's that bad. The times had moved on, sadly.
A lot of Carey's early work, where he tried to move away from the comedy, didn't get the praise it deserved. And a lot of the stuff he's done recently, I mean, basically the guy's like rolling in it. The man doesn't need to make another movie for the rest of his life.
Nope.
And I think he just kind of went to do projects that spoke to him.
Yeah.
I mean, I read that book that he put out, Memoirs and Misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
It reads like a drug-induced fever dream, which I think is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But when you go back and look at performances like The Truman Show and Man on the Moon, to a slightly lesser extent, maybe
even the Majestic.
Yes.
One that's not as well known, but it was really good. Really fantastic.
That is one of the most Capra-esque movies that Hollywood's done in the last God alone knows how long.
Yeah.
I think the only one he really got kind of kudos for was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
And I think it was purely because Kate Winslet with blue hair was in it.
Do you know something? I only very recently watched that film, and it was one of those ones that properly lived up to the hype. It was a completely engaging, utterly absorbing, well-written, well-directed, superbly acted film. And the fact that Kate Winslet was almost playing a Jim Carrey-like character, where he was the more straight-laced of the two, was outstanding.
I remember. Then you just watched the Jim and Andy documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
Holy moly, that was.
Is that the one where it's kind of it was filmed at the time he made Man on the Moon, but the producers wouldn't let them release it until after the movie had been out for a while because they were actually afraid people would think he'd had a breakdown. They
basically said, "What we don't want Jim Carrey. People thinking Jim Carrey's an asshole." So they shelved it. And it was shelved for 20 years. Because the way Jim Carrey is describing it is that Andy Kaufman took over his body, and everything else was out of his control. And then you have guys like Jerry the King Lawler coming on the documentary saying, it's like Carrey's talking bullshit because me and Andy Kaufman played up the hatred of each other, but we had a deep mutual respect for each other. So the fact that he was coming out and doing all these things, I was like, that's not Andy. Andy wouldn't do that. And I just watched it and I was like, whoa. And I think there's certain people that achieve a certain level of consciousness that we can't, probably from all the drugs they do. Jim Carrey is one of them. He is on some sort of astral plane. He's on a Doctor Strange astral projection. That's the only way we'd be able to get him back, is sending Doctor Strange after him. I'm pretty sure it is gone. It's flying about somewhere. And the rest of it is just like, whoa.
I think, those articles you see online, like the Avengers, if it had been made in the 90s.
Yes.
I think he'd been a great Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So we love tangents on this show. We've had another one. We're great with our tangents. Kev, if I was adjudicating it, I personally think I was not on my game, and I think Bill was probably the winner of that round.
Yeah.
As you are the adjudicator, what do you think?
I would have to say that Doctor Strange definitely won that round. I mean, there was a lot more things you could have said about Doctor Doom. There was so much more.
Yeah.
When he does go complete superpowered, he has taken down Galactus on his own, single-handedly.
Yeah. It was the cockiness of winning one round at brain farted me.
It got to your head.
It went to your head and you bottled it.
Yep, that essentially sounds like my sex life.
And I'm definitely closing the laptop and putting it in the freezer and going straight to therapy. Thank you.
Yeah. I know a great therapist. They helped me.
Apparently not enough after what you just said.
Oh no, you keep some cards close to your chest, man. You've got to.
If that's the case, I don't want to know what you're still holding. You keep that where it is.
But only the boys will find that. Yep, I would say we are tied at one apiece. What Bill, again, very well done.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, quite literally, like Deadpool in a gun, you pulled out of your ass.
Enough about my ass, thank you.
that might not be the last time we mention your ass, but we'll see. Well, as we move on to the third and final round, and that is universal significance. So this is the round that I personally love because it was of my own creation, and everybody goes, "What?" every single time I explain it. But I don't get why, because the premise is so simple. Your character, take them out of that universe. Imagine that no one had came up with him or her or it. It's an advanced world these days. Take that character out completely, and they never happened. How do you think that universe would cope without them? So, Bill, how do you think if Stan Lee decided he was never going to write the Sorcerer Supreme, how do you think that would have impacted Marvel?
I mean, the thing is, the Marvel stable of characters is huge. Doctor Strange wasn't the first big hit Marvel character. Obviously, that was the Fantastic Four. And so, if Doctor Strange, if Ditko and Lee hadn't come up with Doctor Strange, then I think Marvel would probably have gone on quite well. I mean, it's back in the early 60s. They've got plenty of time to come up with all the other kind of characters that would make their name, that would be very, very well known worldwide for a very long time, like the X-Men, Spider-Man, even Iron Man, Captain America, the Fantastic Four themselves, Marvel's first big success story. So I think the Marvel universe, comic-wise, would have gone on quite nicely. They just, the thing is, you can't miss something that's not there. So if they'd never come up with it, they wouldn't really be writing their way round about a gap. They would just have been writing the universe as it was without Doctor Strange in it. I think at some point they probably would have come up with a character who was magical, whether it's the kind of godlike abilities of Thor, or eventually when you get around to characters like the Scarlet Witch, you knew it was going to find a way to bring the Scarlet Witch back into it at some point, because Elizabeth Olsen is awesome.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when you get, other characters that have magical abilities, that kind of opens things up. Like, again, with the idea of the multiverse in the MCU, they could have used the Scarlet Witch to do that if Doctor Strange wasn't there. There's always usually a way to write around things if you have to. But again, if you're going back and removing that particular building block from the original kind of Marvel edifice of characters, then they would have put another character in that place eventually, which doesn't make him sound great or vastly important. It's kind of that. It's almost that idea. If you take Superman away from DC, what does DC have? Well, DC's got Batman and Wonder Woman and lots of other characters. And just
you're going to need to rewatch episode 2 with Jimmy Longmire. He sold the point of how badly the DC world would crumble without Superman. Really? He went to town on it, man.
It kept going when he died.
But then they had also to bring him back.
Oh yeah, there was never any doubt that we're going to bring Superman back. We're not going to kill Superman permanently. Are you insane?
That's just that just proves the point.
Even in the 1990s, they weren't that stupid.
Yeah, but it proved the point. But that was the point that he proved that, they killed him, but there was never a plan to have him wrote off completely. It was always that they were going to bring him back.
They were always going to bring him back. But again, that's because he's been there. Again, he's DC's keystone. That arch doesn't exist without him in this present time. But if he hadn't been created, then chances are DC wouldn't exist at all. And the same can be said of Marvel. If Lee hadn't hit big with the Fantastic Four, that was going to be it. He was walking away from it before the Fantastic Four hit the shelves. But yeah, I think as good a character as Doctor Strange is, as cool as his powers are, as cool as the design is. Also, a quick note that I've just remembered: his middle name's Vincent. And if you go back and watch the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, the design for Vincent Price's character in that, oddly reminiscent of Doctor Strange.
Yep,
And
that's a mirror universe that we can dive into.
No, again, if they'd made like the Avengers in the 60s, then Vincent Price would have been Doctor Strange. That is hands down. That's not even a fight.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think the universe has such a plethora of characters in it that there would be one that would have taken the Sorcerer Supreme's place. Possibly even the idea of just the Sorcerer Supreme themselves, without it being Doctor Strange, just this idea of an ancient magic wielder that they would have woven in there somewhere.
Well, and interesting points. What I really would have liked to have heard is how because the whole point is like you need to emphasize why we could be so reliant on a character. So I technically have your Nick Cage moment for me to shoot myself in the foot, but I also have my Nick Cage moment to fire back as well. So I'll start. So I shall start with shooting myself in the foot because I'm very, very good at that. We can prove that Doctor Doom would not be needed in a Marvel universe because he's not in the MCU. And that's been 11 years. He's not been there. They've got on fine without him. They've done the movies with him in it, and they've bombed drastically. Whether they don't understand the source material, whether the executives are a bunch of dicks, but probably a bit of both. Where the actor is just shit. Again, open to interpretation on that one, but. So that is essentially that's the Nick Cage moment for you for how you could take Doctor Doom out and everything could be fine because it has been so far in a live action medium. However, when you go into all sorts of mediums, when you go into the comics in particular, as you said, Fantastic Four, the first family of Marvel, Doctor Doom, by definition, the first villain of Marvel. And you take him out, and yes, there's ones like, there's Galactus, there's a Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer more of a kind of an anti-hero because he serves Galactus, as we know. And that was one of the things that was a good part of the Fantastic Four film. Lawrence Fishburne voicing the Silver Surfer was really good casting. I was very impressed with it. And the CG for him wasn't too bad either for a mid-2000s movie. Those were the days when every big bad guy was a giant cloud in the sky. And you were just like...
And also you had Doug Jones actually playing him as well.
Exactly. So we had like a good synergy with that one. Obviously they shat the bed with everything else. but at least there's signs of hope there. But if you take Doctor Doom out of the comics, they're kind of I call them the bread and butter threat, which is the one where you're like, for example, Spider-Man's had a run in with who are we going to pick this time? Green Goblin. Yep, that's fine. That's it. That's another one we can just put in. We can get a story done around that. That's fine. Until we think of like a new villain. We can have him mess about with Norman Osborn. When the Iron Man comics, it was the Mandarin, that's his arch nemesis. Okay, we'll write a couple of things about that before we can think of a new villain. Doctor Doom is their bread and butter villain, but he's the one that we're trying to think of some intergalactic being that could destroy the entire universe / multiverse. But until we get there and we figure out how we're going to do it, let's just write a couple more things with Doctor Doom in it, and we'll carry on with that. And they essentially, Doctor Doom sets up the generic kind of staple for every villain going forward. Superior intellect, but nuts. Has a game plan, sticks to it. Uses any type of means to get the job done, whether it is his own intellect or if it's building essentially his suit of armor, which is decked out to the fucking nines. Again, and beating Thanos in comics is a high praise. Beat him in the MCU, we have now figured out it's just that we were all superior. We were just really, really shit. we've done enough multiverses to realize now, like, what, you know, Black Panther just had to have a talk with him and he wouldn't destroy the world. And we're like, okay. So it just went right down in my estimations now. There it is. So I would love, so what I think the fact that yes, like they've survived without him, but there's so much untapped potential with him. Like, he's had such a great spanning career. Like, you don't come about in 1962 and then they're still culturally relevant, not only in 2022, but still have fans clamoring to see a good live action adaptation in 2022. You don't get that without being a staple of your universe. And if you took Doctor Doom out of that universe, I do think they wouldn't have had like a decent Fantastic Four villain. They would have fallen before they got to Silver Surfer or Galactus. Doctor Doom set up that entire universe, that entire premise. Without him, Marvel's gone. We'd be living in a world of Zack Snyder DCEU.
Don't go there. Don't start ragging on Zack.
I'm not ragging on Zack, but I'm more ragging on Justice League.
You can rag on that until the cows come home and start singing, man. I will join you happily.
Yeah, but my point is, like, that's the only kind of options we really would have had. There wouldn't have been, yes, maybe other, like, what we've seen other kind of, you know, comic kind of genres kind of rise, like, for example, Watchmen, like Spawn, and those The Boys, but DC was kind of like the WWE of the superhero verse. If they saw an up and comer, they'd be like, right, we'll buy you out. They're like, okay, right. Like, so basically, like, DC was Vince McMahon walking in, just like, he's like, I like the Watchmen. I'm gonna buy you. I'm gonna make you famous. Take him away.
I didn't know that's how Vince McMahon walked. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, if you watch him recently, it is very much it's all in the shoulders. It's all in the shoulders. That's where it starts. And then and if he thought more with his head rather than his head, he wouldn't be as much bother as he's in now.
I don't think it was his head.
Yeah, well, there was so many like innuendos I could do, but I was writing a script about chugging, so my innuendos are tapped out.
I think I just hit the third time I need to shut my laptop and put it in the freezer.
It's not as bad as you think, Kev. As you know, I'm a Thomas fan.
How bad I think it is. You don't know how bad it is.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm a Thomas the Tank Engine fan.
No.
And we're talking about things, and you know, I guess I'd had on that Mental Ginger show was like, I would love to see like a sketch where someone that was just like two old guys that were just doing a podcast about trains and about steam enthusiasm, but it was called Top Chuggers. And I just burst out laughing. I was like, that's a great idea for a sketch. It's like I am going to write it. So I wrote it today, and it's filled with chugging innuendo in there. I'm very well versed in my steam enthusiasm. I'm very well versed in Scottish culture, language, and innuendo. I was like a kid, and I was just like, right, I am going to town with this script. I
thought you'd actually put Thomas the Tank Engine in it, and you'd like had a
oh no, Mattel would sue my ass.
Name or something.
Mattel would
decide what letter.
Mattel would bankrupt me, my children, my children's children, and my children's children's children. If I did that, I would be done. I'd be out the game. So yeah, but yeah. So I had fun doing that. So yeah, any other innuendos, like, I'm tapped out. It's like I've just poured them all into that one text, and I'm like, and breathe.
I'm sorry, but you're telling us you're writing about chugging, and then you're using terms like tapped out. You know, I'm literally just waiting to say, no, I've written this script earlier on. I've blown my load when it comes to innuendos. I've got nothing in the tank.
It's the fact I also said that, and I went, and breathe.
That's how you know you're unfit, Andy. Come on now. When you have to remind yourself to breathe afterwards, something's wrong, man. To get yourself a peak flow test and an inhaler, that's what you're after.
Been down that road twice already. Oh man, I love this show purely for the tangents and the banter. It's fantastic. It's like being at a pub with my mates, except I don't need to worry about that actual going out.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Well, it's absolutely brilliant. But so
I'm bringing booze next time. This is just water, but I'm actually bringing booze next time.
I think that's a wise idea. What 100%. What you should try and bring Stephen along as well. Like try and rope him in.
Could do, yeah. Could do.
Rope him in. It could be like a battle of the in-laws.
I've tried roping Stephen in before. Unfortunately, it just kind of went round his neck, and I had to try and make a little kind of accident. Plus, the knot kind of loose. Rookie mistake.
Oh man!
Been that suspicious since. I've never managed to get a second attempt.
True. Don't worry. If you need any advice, I've watched a lot of serial killer documentaries lately on Netflix.
They're horrendously interesting, aren't they?
Yeah,
they are.
The wife and I've been watching. That Meet, Marry, Murder. 26 episodes, and it's all these different like occasions where like a couple will meet, fall in love, get married, then it turns sour, and one of them dies because one of them killed the other one.
And you're sitting watching this with your wife.
Yeah, I need to know how I'm going out.
Can you see where there might be a bit of a conflict of interest here, Andy? You're kind of basically sitting down with her night after night and going, now have you got your notepad? Good, watch this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's not a program, Andy. It's an instruction manual. It's not even a manual. It's an instructional video, and you're watching it with her. You're going to be, when the time eventually comes, you're going to be like, that knife's not sharp enough. Take it back to the kitchen, sharpen it up a bit, then come back. Between this rib and this rib with an upward thrusting motion.
Yeah. Well, I'm teaching her. Well, that's the point. Well, I need to know if she's going to do it, don't make an arse of it where I live and then I'm like, done for the rest of like my life and I can't, I'm like, out of the game. Like, if she's going to do it right.
I just thought of a great title for a book, Suicide by Murder. There you go. It could be a companion piece to the old Neil Simon movie, Murder by Death.
Well, unfortunately, yours will be based on a true story with my wife battered my melting with a rolling pin. But that actually did happen like in one of the episodes. Like she was beating the guy like with a rolling pin and stuff like kind of regularly. Over the course, so at one point he fell down the stairs. And it was all the damage that he'd taken from previously that actually killed him. So I looked at Alison and went, how heavy is your rolling pin?
Heavy enough.
Well, it's just like, why? I was like, well, I need to know I'm not going down this road. If you're going to do it, just bludgeon me and get it over with.
How heavy is your rolling pin? It's a rolling pin. It is by definition a great big piece of thing.
Yeah. But in fairness, like her auntie, God rest her soul, used to have a metal one. Yeah. Well, no, she was like a proper baker. She baked for all the kind of like church events and all that kind of stuff. What she made her wedding cake as well.
And how many ex-husbands did you have?
Surprisingly, none. But in fairness, he was in a care home with dementia, so.
Oh dear.
I'm going to be divorced by the time this goes to air.
She's baking. She's got a metal rolling pin. I'm thinking that she's over here chipping some poor sod. Then she's just rinsing it off because it's made of metal, and then she's just going right back to rolling the dough.
Pretty much.
Honestly, it's red velvet cake. It's red velvet. Honestly.
Red velvet cake. I like red velvet cake.
I love red velvet cake.
We made that mistake once. The boy's first birthday party. We got him a cake made, a custom cake, and it was a giraffe, and we didn't click. We got red velvet. I was like, oh no, what have we done? We made sure to cut that cake when the boys were nowhere near the cake.
That's a good shout.
Oh my god, that's a parenting fail right there. So Kev, right, based on the arguments, who's got it? Are you gonna chicken out and go for a public vote and the public will kick my ass, or are you gonna make a decision?
No, I'm going to make a decision. Based on the arguments, I think you have your first win.
Holy
Von Doom.
shit. Wow.
Just with what you were saying, it's like if you take Victor Von Doom away, you wouldn't really have had the Fantastic Four for that long.
Wow.
They couldn't continue. But like you said, if you take Doctor Strange out, there's all these other magical characters that could fill that void.
Yeah.
So it's not really that big of a loss
Yeah.
in the long run.
You know something, Andy? Even I agree with your point. I agree with your point because Doctor Doom was integral to the Fantastic Four in their very first stories.
Yeah.
It's like what is a superhero without their nemesis? What is the Batman without Joker? What is Superman without Lex Luthor?
Mm.
What is the Fantastic Four without Doctor Doom? And with the Fantastic Four being the basis of the entire Marvel universe of comics that came afterwards, if Doctor Doom, if that antagonist who has to be at least almost equal to the heroes themselves, if he's not there, then you properly deserve a little kind of Nick Cage kind of something like that.
Yep.
Oh man, you honor me. But the internet is not going to be happy because they've loved watching a ginger suffer. What? Like he
Just
can't.
tell them if they want to watch a ginger suffer, they can go to a beach on a sunny day.
If they want to watch a ginger suffer, watch any of my other podcasts and look through the comments
That's
section.
where the money is, Andy. You want to go to the dark web. You don't want super gins, you want gingers suffering. And that's, it's just you and your wife with a cattle prod. That'll make you money, man. That'll make you money. That'll make you
That's
famous.
because she lived in a dairy farm. What there's a good chance she knows how to work that.
Whoa.
It would have to be
a really fun night or a really bad night, one of the two, depending on your point of view.
Yeah,
you would have to get the massive cattle prod from bottom.
Oh,
it would have to be that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then very possibly you'd have to get the massive cattle prod out of your bottom. Oh God, he's get me doing it now. Oh, I was going to say I've been sucked in by the bottom, but even that sounds bad. Ah, jeez. Oh, who would have thought you would have gotten this kind of filth online?
Oh man, Bill, I am so sorry that I have broke your mind. What you're such an.
My mother-in-law doesn't see this; she'll be gutted. That poor woman.
Yeah, well, I know, and I know your in-laws as well. I hope they don't watch it. They thought I was such a nice, sweet boy, and I'm like, oh,
no, they don't. I've told them.
Thank God.
Andy Durning, hell no. Come on, he's ginger for a reason. He's Satan. That's why his hair's red.
That is one of the jokes I make in my comedy my comedy routine. I say, like, I'm a ginger left-handed Protestant who supports Celtic and has mental health issues. So Satan is waiting down there with the keys to the gates going, a worthy replacement.
You're just sitting there going, I have kept your seat warm. It is good to go.
Yeah, we just like, right, I'm going to Vegas. Job's yours. Well, that could be it. That would be the way. Well, I am absolutely stunned. I cannot believe I actually won one. What you did. And I'm particularly gutted as well because I don't want Bill to take half of me and be like, I'm not coming back. I want him to come back. This has been brilliant.
Last.
Yeah. It's been fantastic, man. Like
you name the time and place, and I will be more than happy to return. As I say, next time I'm actually bringing booze.
Yep. Well, I think booze is going to be required for the showdown match between the Doctors, because that'll be an interesting one.
That will be.
Yeah. Well, because was it Christopher that won, or was it you that won?
Yeah. No, I got I lost big time.
You lost. Oh man. So yeah, not only is it going to be a battle of the Doctors, it's going to be a battle of the Gingers.
Ah.
The internet won't know who to hate more. Well, and I will be up against it because this guy, like Bill, he turned up with a PowerPoint presentation.
No way.
Yes.
Shit, I wish I'd thought that.
Man,
would help my case no end.
Yeah. Because like, he said that, and I'm like, we never actually specified in the rules that you could do that. I was like, I'm going to need to like revamp the rules if I want an advantage. He'll have had longer to prep. He'll be ready to roll, and I'm like, fuck. Oh man, but
That's a sad thing to have to admit. Beaten by PowerPoint.
that could be like another like Netflix documentary, beat by PowerPoint.
I think Dave Gorman does that anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
You're gonna say with a title like "Beat by PowerPoint," the documentary could be about a couple of different things.
Oh my god, well, that's gonna be another one for the dark web.
It's like, what were you working on? It's just a PowerPoint presentation, Mom. Honest. Can I see it? No.
No.
Nope, definitely not. What? So
Not ready yet.
If I ever find that my boys are very intrigued by PowerPoints, well, I will be moving out to my own house. Oh, Kev, how have you find taking the reins as the podcast host? I think you've done very well, my friend.
It's good hearing all the arguments rather than having to, be in them. Nice to just sit back and relax and hear all the arguments coming in and not having to worry about getting beat.
Well, yeah, welcome to my world up until recently. The internet was just like, let's make him suffer. I looked at the internet, I'm like, I'm a dad of twins. You don't think I've suffered enough?
Well, no, because that's your fault.
That is my fault, actually, biologically speaking as well, because they're identical.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it is my fault.
Not only did you give yourself all the fun and games of having a child, you multiplied it by 2.
Exactly. Well, yeah. So take note, everybody. Never have kids.
I have been in the same room as your kids. Your kids are freaking awesome.
They are.
Your boys are absolutely epic kids. And as soon as we can get them tiny little Captain America and Iron Man suits made up, we're going to have them fight in the back garden, and it's going to be awesome. Oh,
you would have been so proud. Like the first ones they got, like Connor was Superman and Kieran was Spider-Man. You'd have been so proud of them.
Nice.
Bill, it's been a pleasure having you on as a guest. I really hope that you come back. I will plug your books. Put them in the links in the description that will be below. Kev, as usual, it's a blast hanging out with you, man. You're getting close to taking the reins yourself. They won't have a ginger. They won't have a ginger to pick on anymore.
No, we need to just bring you on so you can sit and then people can just moan at you.
That basically sounds like my marriage.
It's getting dangerous now. It's on deadly ground now.
She doesn't watch it. She doesn't give a shit. It's fine.
Yeah, but I've got her on WhatsApp. I can tell her.
Yeah, and Facebook.
Did I not mention I was recording this whole thing, Andy? No. Oh, sorry.
Don't worry.
Shouldn't I? Anyway, my bank account information is.
Oh man, right. Well, we better wrap up before the Zoom cancels us out. So until next time, Kev has been super,
and he has been Ginge,
and we're out of here. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.